Hi guys and welcome back. In this video we're going to get started on our breakfast freezer meals, and then we will have a second video coming out soon that will have the rest of our freezer meals in it. Starting out, we are making a banana bread and a blueberry banana bread. It's my first time making blueberry banana bread and it came out absolutely amazing, and I might have to add blueberries every time. So we're starting out with 2 sticks of butter, which is 1 cup of butter I believe, and 2 cups of sugar. I am doubling my recipe here. I've been using this banana bread recipe for about 5 years now, and I absolutely love it. I've made strawberry banana bread, I've made blueberry banana bread now, regular banana bread. I do chocolate chip banana bread. It's very versatile and it just tastes lovely every time. Oops. Now I usually use 3 to 4 bananas for each loaf, but I only had 5 bananas, so we're going to go with 2.5 bananas for each loaf. It's very hard to get bananas to ripen fully in my house. My son absolutely loves them and tears through them. This time I bought 8 extra bananas than what we usually get, and I was able to get 5 to make into banana bread, which is a win in my book. I think this banana bread actually came out the best I've ever made it. It was a little fluffier and a little less dense, so I think the less bananas worked out in my favor this time. I also added the blueberries just to substitute for the bananas a little bit in the one loaf to see if that would make it better, just in case the other one didn't turn out, and they both turned out amazing. So now we're going to mash up our bananas very well. Now that those are all mashed up, we're going to add them to our stand mixer. You can mix this by hand, I've done that plenty of times, but I find it easier to cream the butter and sugar together first. And I actually forgot we gotta add some eggs, so we're gonna add 4 eggs because it calls for 2 eggs per recipe. Just want to beat those up a little bit to incorporate. Now that that's all mixed in together, we're going to add our bananas. Make sure you scrape down the sides of your bowl as needed so everything mixes in and incorporates well together. Mix in the bananas to incorporate, but be sure to not overmix. Half a teaspoon of vanilla extract per recipe, so we're going to do about 1 teaspoon. I went back and added a little bit more, just the rest of my bottle because it was out. Half a teaspoon of salt per recipe, so I'm doing 1 teaspoon. I have a 1/4 teaspoon measure here, so I'm going to do 4 of those. I like to sift in my sea salt and my baking soda so I don't get lumps in my banana bread, because that has happened before and it's just not that great. Now I need 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon per recipe, so I am going to do 8 1/4 teaspoons. I'm going to give that a little mix before I add our flour, because once you add your flour you want to do as little mixing as possible. 1.5 cups of flour per recipe, so I'm going to do 3 cups of flour. I give that flour a gentle mix in with our stand mixer, and then I mix the rest with a spatula. So now I have my bread pans. I grease these with butter. I'm going very easy with how much I put in this pan because I know I have to fill my Pullman loaf pan, which is much longer. You're going to want to make sure you're not filling these pans more than halfway, otherwise they will not cook fully through. learned my lesson the hard way for the first like year or two of me making these. I always had a soggy middle, and that was so defeating. But don't worry, like if you fill them halfway, they will rise up and you will get a nice loaf. Now my plan was to just have one banana bread, one regular banana bread, and one blueberry banana bread. So that is why I filled them up first. And then I'm going to go back and take my blueberries. I have some wild blueberries here, so they're just a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to pour those into my Pullman pan only. If you're doing a full batch, you can just add it in right after the flour. Just mix it all in before you put it into the pans. But this worked out just fine, and then I just was able to mix it in like this. Now I'm trying to see if I can make a little bit of a swirl on top. This bread looks so pretty, and now I just want to top with some more blueberries so you can see the blueberries on top in case they sink all the way down. Like, look how beautiful that looks. Now on my Pullman pan, I'm going to cover it with a lid, if I could figure it out. I was trying to put this on backwards for, a little too long. I thought maybe I just was putting it on the wrong side. But no, yeah, I just had to flip it around. There we go, that makes more sense. And I am not going to cover my other banana bread at all. They're going to go into a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 55 minutes. And after 55 minutes, they are perfectly cooked. I'm going to test the centers real quick to make sure they're not gooey, and they weren't. They were just perfect. Here's our regular banana bread. I promise, guys, I'll figure out this lid one day. This day was not the day. And there's our blueberry banana bread, still looking very beautiful. I just love that pop of color that the blueberries bring. This one was definitely my family's favorite, and it did not last long. Alright, so now we're going to attempt to pop these out of the pan, and hopefully they didn't stick, and this one came out a little too fast. I was not expecting it to pop out that fast. That's great, didn't stick at all. Knocked over my camera, sorry about that. And it was so soft and just like so long, it was so hard to like manage. But like I cannot believe how soft this came out. It was the softest, most delicious banana bread that I've ever made, and the Pullman pan definitely has something to do with that. Now flip number 2, let's see if this comes out any better. Got a little stuck and ripped off a little bit, but came out nice. Now I'm going to cut this and give it a taste test. And I just want to say my house smells amazing at this point. Perfectly cooked through, and it was perfectly cooked through the whole way. We already finished this loaf of banana bread and half of the other one. And you can see the blueberries spread through here. If you want more, you can add more. If you want less, you can add less. You can substitute with chocolate chips, whatever you like, strawberries. Alright, let's give this a try. This is so good, guys. I forgot just how tasty banana bread is, but this was definitely the best banana bread. And I highly recommend you give it a try. Moving on to our next freezer meals, we are going to be making a bunch of breakfast sandwiches, some on English muffins and some on croissants. Now we made quite a bit of these sandwiches, but they went fast. We got sick and they were just an easy grab and go in the morning and I am so grateful that we had them. My one daughter absolutely loves them too, so it's perfect before school. And sometimes she even brought them for lunch like a day or two with some yogurts and fruit, and she absolutely loved it. That was like her favorite lunch. My kids love breakfast foods. I also made a bunch of pancakes for the freezer and for easy breakfasts, and I also made a bunch of chocolate chip muffins and mini chocolate chip muffins, but I have already previously shown those in a different video, so I'm not going to show those again. So now I'm just going to scramble these eggs up. I believe I cracked 16 eggs. I don't usually cook my eggs like this. I only cook them like this if I'm making a bulk freezer meal breakfast sandwiches, and they come out perfect this way for breakfast sandwiches. If I'm making them and they're not for breakfast sandwiches, or if I'm making just like breakfast sandwiches in the morning and not making them to freeze them, I will just pan fry them and we'll have like a runny yolk if we want it. Now to my scrambled eggs, I like to add a decent amount of milk. This stretches the egg and it also makes it a lot fluffier. If I wasn't doing such a big batch, I would probably use half and half or cream. I'm going to add some pepper, not too much because we can put pepper on each individual sandwich as we like. My husband doesn't like too much pepper, neither do my children. I personally add more to my sandwich when I go to heat mine up. And the same goes for the salt. Now we're going to mix that all together, and then we're going to get ready to pop them in the oven. You're going to want to preheat it. I think I did like 375 and then just cooked them until they were done. Maybe it took about 10 minutes. I don't exactly remember. Just keep an eye on them. Once they're not runny anymore and they look fully cooked through, then they're done. Now I'm being very careful not to spill. And I did burn my finger a little bit on the oven there, but that's typical me. Now our eggs are done and are nice and puffy and look beautiful. And they will flatten out after they sit for a minute. Now for the English muffins, I got these Bay's English muffins. They're sourdough from the refrigerated section at my grocery store. I was just trying these out, so I only did 6, and I wish I did more. These English muffins were absolutely amazing. So a little note for next time to make more. But I think they are a little bit more expensive, but they were so worth it. I do also want to make my own English muffins coming up, so I'm hoping to get to that this year. I did have a lot of plans for this winter, but they're going to get pushed back a little bit until baby is here because baby is burning out all my energy. And we've also had like 3 or 4 sicknesses back to back this winter, and it's just been rough. So energy will come back and we will get all the things done. We will get the cheese made, we will get the jams done, everything will get done. Just a matter of time. So now I'm going to put my cheese slices on here. Now I only had enough cheese on this night to make the English muffins, so I ended up getting some more cheese the next day and putting the rest of the egg in the fridge, and we put the croissants together the following day. Now usually I just fry up some fresh bacon, but we got these at Sam's Club. There's 72 slices. I knew I was going to be making a lot of breakfast sandwiches. Planned to make a lot more than what I ended up making because I got 2 whole big boxes of croissants, but my family just like tore through the first box. So on these I'm going to add 2 slices of bacon to each English muffin. I'm going to set my little chicken plate out and put my hot pan of eggs on top of it. We're going to get these all cut up. I'm going to cut these into different sizes, smaller ones for the English muffins, and my croissants are pretty large, so I'm going to make bigger slices for my croissants. I'm just going to put 1 egg square on each English muffin. And they ended up being the perfect size. I'm going to be making a ton more of these off camera because they went way too fast. And the croissants too. The croissants were so much better than I thought they were going to be. I ended up, when I heated mine up, I took them apart, added a little bit of butter, and then warmed that up with it with a little extra salt and pepper, and they tasted so good. I don't know if you guys have like a Dunkin' near you, like Dunkin' Donuts, but occasionally, if I ever go there, they have like this maple bacon breakfast croissant, maple bacon, egg, and cheese, and it tasted just like that minus the maple part, but I'm sure you could add some maple syrup if you'd like. So now these are going to go in the freezer, so we want to make sure they are freezer safe. I'm going to wrap these in saran wrap. Each individual one is going to get its own piece of saran wrap, and then we are going to put it in a freezer safe bag after that to make sure that it does not get freezer burn. And of course my son has to come check out what I'm doing and feel our sandwiches here. He loves to come help Mom in the kitchen. Now I'm going to take out our freezer safe bag and just fill it up with our sandwiches. You saw how easy these sandwiches were to put together, especially with the pre-cooked bacon. I just put it on frozen still. And it's going to get heated up when I heat up the sandwiches, and it comes out perfect. Then just in that alone, there's 6 freezer meals right here, and I'm going to close this, leaving a little space to let the air out. Push all the air out you don't want to get freezer burnt, and then seal it up the rest of the way. There's our 6 English muffins. Now, since I ran out of cheese for the night, I'm going to bag up the rest of my eggs here. I'm just going to put them in this bag, and you could freeze them if you wanted to make these on a later date. I'm going to make the rest of these sandwiches the following day, so I'm just going to put these in the fridge overnight, and then I won't have to thaw them or anything, and they'll just be ready to put together. And I just put cold egg on a cold sandwich, and it's super simple. Come to think of it, even if you had frozen eggs, as long as you can get them apart, you can just put the frozen egg on the sandwich because we're gonna freeze them anyways. So, alright, now as the following day, I have this breakfast sausage I'm going to take out of this tube here. I have seen people just slice it like this all the way through, like with the plastic and all. I wasn't sure how I felt about that, so I tried it, and it didn't really work out too well for me. But I'm thinking maybe if they were a little more frozen still, it would work out. But mine were like a little bit frozen in the middle, and the rest was thawed all around it, so it was a little mushy and didn't really work out too well. So now I'm just going to go ahead and just take this whole tube of sausage out of the casing. And I'm going to attempt just like pulling some off and making that into a sausage patty. But once again, it's still a little frozen in the middle, so it didn't want to work that way either. So I am going to go back to just slicing it, just without the plastic, and then if anything gets mushed, it will just form that back into a patty around the frozen part. And there's my little boy coming to check everything out. You're going to see a lot of my children's little heads popping up and down as I'm doing this part of the video because they are sitting and eating at the table in front of me. So I have my croissants here and I'm just going to cut them in half. And I apologize if I'm not smiling enough in this part of the video. I was so tired at this point. It was getting kind of late when I cut myself. I had to put a band-aid on and switch to a toddler knife. I couldn't find my other serrated knife, so that's why I went with the toddler knife, because it does have a serrated blade to it. And also, it's probably better that I didn't cut myself again anyways. And I would have put on a glove if I were handling anything messy, but these are just for my family because I do have that band-aid on, but I'm not going to be touching anything directly with the band-aid anyways. I think that one's going to leave a scar. So now I got my egg out of the fridge and we were going to put the eggs on our croissants. I'm still waiting for the sausage to get done. My husband came home in absolute perfect timing to bring me the cheese, just as I needed it. And now we're going to add some bacon to 5 of these, and then I'm going to put sausage on the other 4. We didn't end up liking the sausage ones as much as we did the bacon ones. I think it's just because we used a different sausage than what I usually use. Usually my family would go for sausage before bacon. I prefer bacon myself, but they love sausage, but they just weren't too big on the sausage that I chose for this. But it was some sausage that we had in the freezer that we had to use up, so I'm glad we got that out of the freezer, and I'll have to make a note for myself not to get that one again. My husband was saying how good they looked and we should just have that for dinner instead, but I had already cooked dinner. So we had some of these for breakfast the next morning. My only regret to making these is that I did not make enough. Next time I will make probably triple this amount, so they last at least a little while in my freezer. Always start small though if this is your first time trying these, because you want to make sure your family likes them or you like them yourself. Otherwise it would all just be a waste. I know my family really enjoys these, so I have to make a lot more next time. Now we're just going to wrap these up the same way that we wrapped up our other English muffin ones. So we're just going to wrap each individual one in some saran wrap, and then we're going to place them in a freezer bag. You want to push all the air out of the freezer bag again and pop them in the freezer. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, my next video coming out is going to have a lot more exciting breakfast meals in it. These were kind of just like basic ones to just get in your freezer, and I'm very excited for the next batch. Also, if you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up so I know that you like this content, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and may you have a very blessed day.